on smart agriculture. No, basically it's more on drip irrigation and greenhouse technology. So Netafields, ito yung mother company namin, ma'am. Ang AMCG is just a part of Netafields as a demo farm. So ang Netafim, as I have mentioned earlier, is the exclusive. Netafields is the exclusive distributor of Netafim, and Netafim is an Israeli-based company. Sila po ang nag-invento ng drip irrigation way back 1960s, no, by chance. So when we are talking about technologies, these technologies are actually ito yung nakakatulong talaga considering that we really have problem on food sustainability. So we have problem on food sustainability, and by adapting these technologies, makakatulong talaga sa production. That's why kung makita mo sa baba, ito siya, grow more with less ang parang motto namin, ma'am, kasi we wanted to introduce technologies that we can grow more with less, no? Grow more food with less water, less fertilizer, less labor, less area, no, to be farmed. And as I think as a farmer or as an agronomist or even as consumer, ang major problem talaga natin, ma'am, is actually ang we have yung palaki ng palaki ang population natin, and of course kung malaki ang population, the demand will also increase. And ang problema natin is just the water alone, no, it's going down. Pababa din yung water availability natin, water supply. So kailangan ang solution natin, ma'am, is actually to have technologies and on how to use the technology as efficient as possible. So ang problem natin is water supply and food demand, and ang solution natin in order to cope up on the increasing food requirement, ma'am, is by adapting technologies to improve production. So way back in 2014, no, I think it was in 2008 to 2014, sa US nagtrial sila kung ano bang mga agronomic inputs, methods ang nakakapag-increase talaga ng production. So by using a very good seeds, it will have an increase in efficiency of about 16%. Kung mag-mechanize tayo sa farming, it can increase production efficiency by 10%. Kung gandahan natin ng maayos yung crop protection, like maraming spraying, magandang klase ng chemicals, it will increase the efficiency by about 28%. And by just putting drip irrigation system, ma'am, nakakatulong talaga sa increase in productivity. So yan po ang study ng US way back 2008 until 2014. So talking about water, so ito yung mga ito yung mga water sources na available worldwide, no, or even in Philippines. So meron tayong rivers and lakes or open sources. Meron tayong deep wells or shallow tube wells. So medyo bihira ngayon, but in way back 10 years ago, may mga projects ang Department of Agriculture, yung SWIP, no, yung Soil Water Impounding Project, which we actually harvest rainwater and impound it and use it during dry season. In some countries, they're doing it on a big scale. Sa farm ko, we're doing rainwater harvesting para ma-minimize yung pumping of water from the deep well. And we have the domestic reuse. I think sa Pilipinas, kung makita mo sa SM, makikita mo sa CR nila na nakalagay, ang tubig na ginagamit for the CR are recycled water. But I think very small scale, no, sa Pilipinas. And worst case, we do desalination. In some countries, sobrang malaki na yung desalination processes nila to have a potable water, pero sa Pilipinas, I think we have few, especially in Cebu, in remote islands in Cebu, they do desalination for potable water consumption. Although sa atin ma'am, I think we never use effluent water no for agriculture, but in Israel in 1995 they're using around almost 25, almost 30% of water na ginagamit nila for irrigation are coming from effluent, and by the end of 2020 they're using 60% of their irrigation water for agriculture coming from recycled water, and 100% of the water that's being irrigated to non-edible crops are actually from this from this water source. Talking about the consumption of water for agriculture, actually agriculture consumes the most water no available worldwide. About in Asia, about 81% sa fresh water natin is actually being used for agriculture, and 10% for industrial, and 9% for municipal. While in America, around 50% of fresh water are being used for um, agriculture, and 34% for industrial, and 16% for municipal. And in Africa, about 82% in agriculture, and about 5% or 5% for industrial, and 13% for municipal. So in general, ma'am, about about 69% of the water that's being used for fresh water available are being used for agriculture, and 19% for industrial, and about 12% for municipal. So that 69% of water that's being used, ma'am, for agriculture is actually um, only irrigated about 20% of our farmlands. So 80% of our farmlands are actually non-irrigated. So the 20% na merong irrigation system is actually 80% of that one is flood irrigation by flooding, and only 20% are irrigated with pressurized irrigation system, and only 6% are irrigated by micro, that includes drip irrigation, and 14% by big guns sprinklers. This means, ma'am, that majority of our water use is not actually used efficiently, kasi flood irrigation is a very low efficient irrigation system. So these are the different methods no of irrigation. We have flood irrigation, we have the pivot or the sprinkler irrigation, we have the big guns irrigation and can be considered as sprinkler irrigation. We have the under tree sprinkler irrigation, we have the surface drip, and the subsurface drip irrigation system. If we're going to compare all this type of irrigation, ma'am, is for flood irrigation, the efficiency is only 32%, meaning around 68% of water that's being irrigated using flood are just wasted. Only 32% are being utilized by the crops. For furrow irrigation, about 45% efficient. For sprinkler irrigation, about 50% efficient, and so on and so forth. And for the drip irrigation, it can go from 85 to 95%. Meaning, if we use flood irrigation, we're actually wasting about 70% of the water. So just imagine, ma'am, if all the flood irrigated areas, farm areas, will be converted into irrigation system. Medyo dako pa yun, no? Medyo mas malaking area pa ang kayang i-irrigate ng fresh water, available fresh water for agriculture irrigation use. This means that drip will irrigate 2 times the area of sprinkler, while sprinkler will irrigate 2 times the area of flooding irrigation. What is drip irrigation? So drip irrigation, I think majority sa listeners natin are alam nila no kung ano ang drip irrigation. So it's the application of water to the plants in the right amount, in the right place, and in the right time. While fertigation is by injecting the fertilizer into the irrigation system, we're actually fertigating. So meaning, if we do have a very efficient and uniform drip irrigation system and we apply fertilizer with it, the application of fertilizer will also be uniform and very efficient. So this is the advantage no, of drip irrigation over flooding. So irrigation will direct water nutrients specifically to the root zone and it optimizes moisture and aeration conditions. So hindi lang the whole one shot too big. It will be on a very particular time and volume of water and location kung saan magtulo ang drip irrigation, ang drip. So we normally say that drip irrigation is supplying water to the plants and not to the soil. So drip irrigation is compared with normal broadcast fertilization. So we apply the water through the irrigation system, so it will go straight to the root zone. Just imagine, ma'am, no, this is a slice of soil, and the top portion is the natural ground level, and going down, this is a soil moisture, and going down is the field capacity of the soil, and going down further is the wilting point of the soil. So kung mag-apply tayo ng flood or rain or sprinkler, normally we do it in 2 weeks time or 1 week time. No? So just in case we do it in 1 week or 2 weeks time, so we apply it on day 1. The water maybe from wilting point will go straight up to the saturation point on the top, and then slowly mag-percolate ang tubig, mag-evaporate ang tubig, and after few days, or say after 14 days, it will reach up to wilting point and then apply again ng tubig. So the process will be like that one if we do like very long interval of irrigation system. If we use micro irrigation system, we can apply daily. So we apply on day 1, the water will go up to field capacity because we have the control. And then on the following day, the water will go down to a certain level. We apply water again up to field capacity. So the trend will be like that one. But if we do the intensive drip irrigation system, where we can control the application of water, we can do multiple applications per day, 1, 2, 3, or 5 applications per day, meaning the moisture of the soil na nandoon ang root system will be as of the best moisture, no? So we call it field capacity. So field capacity is the best. Yan yung pinaka-ideal na moisture content ng soil para ang tension ng roots will hindi masyadong mataas for them to absorb moisture from the soil, and hindi rin siya ganun kabasa na masuffocate na wala ng aeration ang root system. So this means that by using drip irrigation system, we can actually manipulate, no, kung paano natin i-apply ang tubig na maka-best benefit ang tanim. So in some countries or even in Philippines, we really have the data, no, that using drip irrigation or drip fertigation is best for sugarcane and banana. We never had a trial on oil palm and cassava, but for sugarcane and banana. And in some countries, this is in India, that in some, without irrigation, I mean, in conventional drip irrigation, they're getting about almost 80 tons per hectare per cropping, while the one with irrigation can go up to 170 tons per hectare per cropping. And same with oil palm and banana. We have that data in banana that we're getting much a bunches and uniformity when we do fertigation in banana. So the main concept for this technology is actually to fight, no, to fight the scarcity of water, kasi nga we're using water in the most efficient, no, in the most efficient way. And since we are increasing the productivity, meaning we can use smaller lands with bigger productions, and we will be able to, supply good food, eh, bisan o kahit hindi ganun kalaki yung mga farms. So, just to give you an overview on the components of drip irrigation system. So, example, this is a setup of irrigation system. I mean, a setup of irrigation system will compose of the following, no? So, number one, we really have to have a water source. Kasi ang irrigation system or any types of irrigation system is just a delivery system. So, either flood irrigation, sprinkler irrigation, or drip irrigation, we need to have a water source na i-deliver natin sa field. So for drip irrigation, so we have the water source, and of course we have the pump in order for us to create pressure. We need to have a main control and filtration system. We need to have main line to deliver the water from the main source, the water source, going into the field. And we need to have sub-main line or distribution line in order to isolate areas, kasi not the whole area will be irrigated at once, or else it will be a very expensive system. So we normally divide the areas into portions or segments, and it's being divided by a valve and a sub-main line. And after the sub-main line, we have the irrigation network. It could be laterals, it could be, if it's sprinklers, it will be sprinklers with laterals or micro sprinklers. So the main filtration system is actually considered as the heart and the brain of the irrigation system. So the water is being pumped from the water source to the system in the field, and we need to filter the water para di mag-clog up ang dripper lines. We can also have fertigation equipment in this section to inject the fertilizer. We can have a controller that will control automatically the pumps and the valves in the fields, when to open, when to off, how much water to apply, how much fertilizer to apply. That can be all automated. So that's all for the drip irrigation. And this is our farm in Mulig. We normally call the greenhouse. This is the second technology that we're actually promoting in our farm, the greenhouse. So we normally call greenhouse as a food factories, no? Greenhouse is like food factories. And inside the greenhouse, you can do anything. Well, it depends on the elevation of the farm that you have the greenhouse. But in highlands, you can grow everything. And in lowland, you can still grow high-value crops, but limited to certain varieties or certain types of crops. So we are actually growing melons, we're growing lettuce, and we're growing bell pepper for now, sweet capsicum, but mostly in highlands. Lettuce we grow in highland and in lowlands, and melons we grow in lowlands. So we have available greenhouse, not only us, no, but this is the most common type of greenhouse that are available in the market. Number one, the tropical greenhouses. Tropical greenhouse in the sense that we have a ventilation on the top for us to have a natural ventilation. So the same concept but different model. We have this one as our a locally fabricated greenhouse, and we have the tunnel greenhouse. Although tunnels are not really good in tropical countries because of the climate. So normally ang hot air kasi is going up, and if you don't have the natural ventilation or if you don't have the opening on the top, matrap lang ang ang hot air and mag that will create no, yan yung mangyayari bakit sobrang init sa loob ng greenhouse kasi yung hot air is hindi nakalabas from the top. So you need to have a forced ventilation exhaust fans para ipalabas mo yung hangin na nasa taas na naipon during the day. And we have, the same type tropical that has a ventilation on the top. So, ang main purpose ng greenhouse is, well, actually, the main purpose of greenhouse is to protect the plants from the rain. No? So, that's why meron tayong greenhouse or meron tayong structures that we normally call rain shed. So, rain shed is basically a structure with plastic roofing to prevent the plants from rain. But kung meron tayong rain shed na to protect the plants from the rain, why not put anti-insect nets on the sides and it will be a greenhouse, not just a rain shed. So to protect the plants from the rain and to protect the plants from the insects, although sa farm namin we still have problems with aphids, mites, but those are very, very small insects. But for like insects like in the picture or kanang mga alibangbang or any other mga worms, so we never, well, we encountered sometimes, no, but very, very seldom that we encounter those problems. So we only have problems sometimes on aphids and mites, not sometimes, most of the time, because those aphids and mites, didikit kasi yan sa damit ng mga workers. So if they're coming from the outside or they're coming from the older plants in the other greenhouse, normally magdikit doon sa damit nila, and then when they go to the newly planted or newly planted crops, so pupunta doon yung aphids and mites, and that will contaminate the greenhouse. But ma-address pa rin siya by spraying chemicals. And I think the best purpose of greenhouse is it's very, very minimal ang insects problem. And the greenhouse can also protect the plants from wind, against lodging, and then allows to do all greenhouse activities any time of the day or night kung kinakailangan, such as spraying, pollination, planting, and harvesting. So, no reason na hindi maalagaan yung tanim kasi umuulan if we have greenhouse because we are protected from the rain. And the secondary purpose of greenhouse is, number one, is to support for vertical crops. The main difference why we use greenhouse and open field is in open field we normally use the horizontal area of the land, while in greenhouse we're utilizing the vertical space of the greenhouse. Example, if we plant melons outside the greenhouse in open field, we normally space it 2 meters. The rows will be about 5 meters long, 5 meters width, the rows to rows is 5 meters, and plant to plant along the rows is about 2 meters. So meaning there will be one plant in 10 square meters. While if we plant melons inside the greenhouse, we're actually planting 2 or 3 plants, 2.8 plants per square meter. So you can see the difference in open field. Since we're using the horizontal space, it will be one plant per 10 square meters, while inside the greenhouse, it will be about 2.8 plants per square meter. So, malaking diferensya. And support for the sprinklers if we want to do sprinkler system inside the greenhouse for probably for cooling, and then we can put circulating fan not to circulate the humidity, and we can use the structure to have cooling pads and exhaust fans on both ends if we wanted to do forced ventilated greenhouse.